doesn't come quite as easily.
I'm not good at sixes, so I guess. Yeah, I mean, like it. You mean like it's like process because like it's a lot of stalemates, right?
Well, the mid itself, because the mid itself plays a good bit like process actually. Mainly because the shacks and Tetrises can kind of function a bit like the crate, and it's really easy to rotate a lot on like process. Like I think that's something almost everyone kind of fundamentally knows about Sunshine is that the mids you kind of rotate on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. I feel like it's easy to say, oh yeah, Sunshine, you rotate on those mids, but I think it's a little easy to like really figure out why exactly it is that you do rotate and what exactly you're trying to accomplish via rotating. Because at the end, it just comes down to like gaining positioning, right? Like at the end of the day, like six is just trying to like it's similar to Highlander where you're trying to get an advantage on the other team, some sort of advantage. But where in Highlander, like that advantage is usually like a sniper advantage, Reaper advantage, something like that. In sixes, it's a lot of times more complicated, like a positioning advantage, player advantage, health advantage, things like that. So for Sunshine mid, you kind of try to want to gain positioning advantage to get a player advantage, which is what ultimately lets you win the mid, right?
Yeah.
Is
So would
everyone
you
here?
our six had a family emergency, so
Okay.
He died.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think
Okay.
everyone should get the spectator though.
What all do you like already know about Sunshine? I'm just not like quite sure what at your level like you would know.
At least what I last time we played, I told our roamer to go on Tetris, whatever side our combo went, and then we had our pocket take bell tower.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we usually did.
Okay, so I think in general, I'm gonna like start off by giving you two ways to play the mid. One is kind of a spin to win rotate mid, which is pretty common, and I kind of already alluded to. The other is meeting that. If you're doing a rotate mid, generally what happens is your demo rolls out their choke, calls aside. They come to, like, say your demo calls left. If they come left, your demo might just start across and start rotating the other way because you don't want to meet them super early and you just want to rotate fast. I'd say, just a quick note on that, if your demo you call left side and they end up coming left as well, you might want to just rotate across in front of Tetris quickly, because they'd be trying to get in position around their Tetris, so you just want to make sure you don't get caught in your Tetris, because it's longer for you to rotate from there to there than it is for them to, like, to rotate from there to choke to their Tetris, right? Especially because of the way timings work. So you could get caught out kind of easily if you take too long to get to touch it. But,
And this is just for the demo, right?
no, for the demo, because the general idea if you're rotating is that you're just trying to wrap them really and get them into a bad position, right?
Yeah.
So the way Sunshine works, there's a couple places where they're just in a bad position. Notably, when they're in this corner right here, you're against like two different walls, and it's really tight because of Tetris. So even if they have like a soldier or scout up here, they're really in a pretty shitty position right here. So this is one of those places where you'd want to collapse on them. And to do that, you're generally going to be rotating your combos. So you could go over here, your pocket could be on bell tower, just kind of waiting and rotating pretty quickly. Though generally your pocket doesn't really commit to bell tower. It might just be there to like get some spam on them. It's actually usually your roamer that'll play on bell tower as opposed to your pocket, but we'll talk about that in a second. Let me see how I talk about it. So yeah, you say like you rotate, you go to your Tetris. Don't dilly-dally in this corner. It's actually kind of better to rotate out in front of Tetris, just so you can get onto this shack area a bit faster. Shack's like a pretty decent spot to kind of set up for a collapse. So if their team starts dilly-dallying in Tetris, and your team ends at shack with your rotate, that's a good time to just say, okay, let's collapse on them. In which case your pocket would try and bomb, try and get control of their Tetris or spam down onto them, landing on them. You can even bomb on top of Cafe. Your roamer, actually the roamer in a second. Your scouts and medic would start to collapse and push in and following up on your soldiers' bombs. Your roamer would be bombing in at this time, but from where it just kind of depends. Because there's a couple things your roamer can do on this mid that are kind of different, I'd say, from some other mids. So for starters, you could just start off by rotating into Cafe, like rolling out into your own Cafe. In which case, if they go out their right side, like if they go roll out towards their left and go in front of cafe, you would just be waiting for your team to say, okay, they're in front of our cafe, and you can just literally waddle out and like two-rock whoever's standing right there. It's a super easy thing to do on.
I got a question. Is it not good on this map to have a roamer do a fast rollout, or does that need to be called beforehand?
Yeah, you can have your roamer do a fast rollout. That's usually just the same way it works on process. You're just trying to get a demo pick really early on. Usually, like the first couple of mids, it's pretty easy to do that just because it's a little bit unexpected. So if you can do that fast rollout consistently, and if you can roll out and get on the demo, I think you have to do the valley rollout to really get that deep into choke. I'm not too sure if you can get quite that far from doing the
No,
choke
you
one.
can't.
Yeah.
No, you have to go through the valley.
Yeah. Do you know that? Do you know that rollout?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that's pretty good the first couple of mids, and that just basically makes it so that you have a demo pick early on. If you do have that demo pick very early on, then just take the fight early. They'll either commit. Usually, what a lot of teams at a lower level do is they'll kind of dilly-dally and choke because they're not quite sure what to do without their demo. If that's the case, try and get positioning on the bell tower early with one of your soldiers, and have your other soldier either play cafe or on their Tetris. Or you'd only have one soldier actually. So yeah, have your soldier probably play on bell tower. Be prepared to decommit from bell tower if you get bombed, because at that point you already have a numbers advantage. There's no need to necessarily give up your life, because you also have a damage advantage. So it's really going to be up to your demo to kind of push across point right up to here if they're still holding in choke or around that area, and just get really good spam on them so that your pocket can continue to spam or even just commit on them with a jump. Because once you have bell tower, you have a lot of flexibility in where you go. You can also just try and like jump into them aggressively, like jump in, get some damage, jump out. But again, you kind of do want to maintain that positioning because you just have damage advantage already, and your scouts shouldn't have too hard of a time cleaning up people that start to overextend. Just keep an eye on their scouts positioning, because I guarantee if your demo walks over here, you'll have one scout playing on the shack that'll try and get aggressive on your demo, but that should be pretty easy to clean up if you have a soldier standing up there and you have a scout playing with your demo, right?
Yeah.
So just get really aggressive and play off of the fact that it's super easy to get demo advantage or demo damage on this map, and that'll give you a pretty solid way to play the mid. But that's only really if you get that demo pick early. Otherwise, you just have to play positioning. If you get to a point where you don't want to do fast rollouts, like I said, you can always have your roamer play your cafe. You can also have your roamer roll out your valley, which would just be doing that rollout where you would do the fast one instead of actually skip jumping through valley. You don't do that. You just kind of land here and just hang out for a bit. That's for if they really rotate into their cafe and come towards your side, towards your valley. Obviously, like, you can kind of do either one, and even if they don't come towards you, you're still in a pretty good position, because you can just do a high bomb, you can bomb on top of their cafe, you can do a high bomb onto the bell tower. You can really do whatever from either valley or cafe. It's up to you, because both are kind of easy to get to bell tower from, which is why I was going to say the roamer is the one that usually wants to play bell tower, because he'll get there a bit later in the mid. It's pretty easy to like jump into bell tower, just like encounter jump a soldier if they're already standing there. It's some good damage, and it gives you better high ground control later into the mid. Plus, you can also, instead of like, if you just want to collapse on them if they're stuck in that corner, for example, it's always good to just kind of have this bell tower jump to be able to get onto them when your team wants to collapse. I'd say just know what your team is doing and be ready to play with them above all things. And make sure that they're communicating if their team is rotating in front of one of the spots you're kind of waiting, right?
Yeah. Should both of our scouts be with our medic then?
One of your scouts will kind of lag behind the rotation. The other scout will be more aggressive in leading it. So say you're rotating towards your cafe and going by Tetris. One scout will just hang around on the shack just for a little bit. You don't want to wait too long. That's usually just to see if a soldier bombs from their cafe or something like that kind of early. And then you kind of rotate. You do stay with the medic pretty closely. Your other scout will kind of jump onto Tetris to maybe jump onto their shack. So like if your med's right here, you'll have your flank scout there, combo scout there. It could be the other way around, really. The scout in general will just kind of lag behind the rotation, like I said, but still be close enough to the medic to help kill a soldier if the soldier bombs, and also be there to support the demo as well. As being like right here with your demo like around shack, that also just does give you a good collapse so that when your demo starts walking forward, if they have someone that kind of kites to this area, your combo scout can kind of get onto your shack pretty quickly and be able to help clean up that damage. Your medic just kind of follows the rotation. For medic, just don't get caught in corners. That corner's bad. This low ground area is really shitty for you. A demo can kind of get away with going over here if they're just trying to get some quick spam damage, because it's a demo, and demo is good on the low ground to get high ground damage. But again, even your demo just needs to be cautious of the fact that it's easy to get spammed on and jumped in here. Medic has definitely like no reason to really go down there. I mean, if you need to like dodge something, obviously it's okay to do that, but really try and avoid that area as much as you can. If you're rotating in front of Cafe, I'd say whether or not you go in front of Tetris is kind of up to you. If your team is going really fast, I'd say try and go in front of the Tetris, but don't dilly-dally right in front of it because you're in this tight spot that's easy to get stickied off from. Just make sure you're quick wherever you do go. Yeah, I'd also say that... Yeah, if you are a medic, be aware that other teams can do the thing where I mentioned where their roamer is just waiting for you. So say you're rotating from your choke, or you're rotating left side, so you start going in front of Cafe from the way you rotate and you go in front of behind Tetris. It's always a good idea just to glance in there, see if there's a soldier. You don't have to like commit or like actually do anything about it. Just if you see a soldier, call it and try and get away from it. What your flank scout can deal with it, your combo scout can deal with it. Just one of them can. And so really what you do is you'd have probably your combo scout and medic keep rotating this way and kind of hang here for a bit, and your combo scout can stay here on this corner. Just because the combo scout can keep an eye on the roamer and you have ways to jump and avoid spam here. And it just makes it so the roamer isn't able just to get him for free. So those are rotate mids. If you do a meet mid, this mid plays out a lot faster. So if you roll out your left and go towards Tetris, there's a couple things you can do. Your pocket can high bomb onto Tetris right here, get good spam early on, jump over to the bell tower once they start really committing into that corner, just to maybe get a bow. You can even just immediately bomb onto bell tower first, because that does give you a bit of a safer position. But if you want to play really aggressive and take their bell tower early on, you can just jump that, but that's really reliant on your demo getting aggressive and putting pressure up on their team as well. Again, the idea behind a meet mid is that you just meet them when they're on that corner, so instead of rotating around to get positioning, because the thing is when you rotate around, you're still trying to meet them in that corner, but you just have way more room to work with on this side, because they're in the corner and you just have basically like all this inside of mid to work with, whereas you're trying to end the fight early if you're meeting them from your choke. So you really only have this kind of area to work with. You can use Valley a bit to your advantage to kite into, but don't let like a soldier bombing behind, because most soldiers, if you're meeting, they'll bomb behind into your Valley and try and like just distract you from there, so their team isn't getting hard focused in that corner. Don't fall for that trap. Just let them play in Valley. Have a scout kind of play there and watch them while the rest of your team kind of tries to deal with the players that are in the corner. Most soldiers on this mid, or if this happens to you, say you rotate into your Cafe side and you start getting met by players that are playing on the left side, the way you really break that, like I said, is have one soldier kind of bomb into Valley, have the other soldiers kind of land on them, and while your soldiers are landing, you just have your team try and DM their way out of that corner. It ultimately, like, whenever you do meet, it just becomes a big DM fight, and so whoever wins, that's really going to win based on how they could take control of Tetris, Bell Tower, and how they, and just who really has better DM. So just kind of keep that in mind if you do want to take that fight. Otherwise, you can try and work with positioning on rotation and try and use that to your advantage. Are there any questions on that?
Taken, but I think I got the gist of it.
So on the quick roamer bomb, I'm the demo. So how do you avoid that damage early on? Because there really isn't a great way to tell if they're bombing you like immediately off the.
Yeah, so that's kind of the tricky thing. It's basically the same thing that kind of happens on a process. You really just have to hit a good surf or hit an air pipe to be okay. Just surfing onto like Valley or whatever and just giving your scouts time to like get in and deal with that soldier is basically all you can do. If it's becoming too consistent of a problem, you can just bait passively in your choke, stand back here, so when the roamer bombs, it's a pretty easy start to hit. because it's a bit harder to sync because of that angle, but you still have a pretty decent sightline onto their cafe at least. But the result of that is that if you don't kill the soldier early, say he like sees that you're passive and just avoids the bomb, you're very passive at the start of mid, meaning their demo can take more space. So you just have to kind of adjust your mid to that based on how their demo does take that space. Again, I'd say just like try and hit the surf because it's not going to be something that like those like fast rollout mids only usually work about once or twice before teams adjust. So once you kind of like, if you do see him do it kind of consistently, just fade it out a bit, playing more passive and choke. But if it's like that first time where he just catches you off guard, really all you can do is hit the surf or hit an air pipe, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's just kind of the way it works because of the time you're kind of isolated on mid. You can also, like, if it is becoming a problem, and even if you play too baity, it's not working out, have your own roamer counter roll out. Your roamer can either, like, can he just roll out choke a bit fast with you, or, and, like, try and help you, or he can just get on their demo, so even if you do die, he can trade out the demo as well.
Could we go over pushing last?
Pushing last, yeah. So the way this last works is it's a little bit hard to break. So most teams will have their... Okay, let's do full Uber ads first. You have full Uber ad coming into last. Most teams are going to have a gun somewhere like right here, right there. Occasionally it might be over there. So really what happens is it's one way you can push last is by coming in this top right door because it kind of puts you closer to where heavies might be playing right there. And it kind of gives you high ground in the fight pretty early on by taking this side. This side, I'd honestly say you don't really want to go it quite as much as teams like to. Because, yeah, even if you get the high ground, it's super easy for them to kite over there, and then your flank can't get in through those two doors because their combo is sitting over there, so your flank just isn't in, so you're taking a 4v6, assuming you don't, like, get any picks because they kited well. If you do come this side, just be ready to, like, run across point with the Uber and end on this side.
Do I need to be here? Michael?
No. No, Butters, please leave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so... just like I said, be ready to run across point with your Uber, so you come in, get the gun fast. And then you'd want, if they have a heavy, you want to focus on the heavy. Say the heavy's holding over there, but the gun was there. You just want to have your demo put a couple sticks on the gun, and then have your scout starting to walk across. If they kite into spawn and they don't have a heavy, what you'll want is you'll want your demo to kind of come right over here, sticky off the spawn flag, put a couple stickies there, and put a couple stickies on the exit to that door there, because even if it isn't the actual spawn door, it does give you a good bit of area denial. And have your scouts start playing point immediately, just because it's a bit hard for them to recommit onto point, and if they're all in spawn, also your flank has no issue getting in, so you don't need to commit deep left on that side. However, if they do kind of go behind point, if they rotate through spawn fast and get out on this left side, you're kind of going to need to maybe bait the point with your scout for a bit, but have the demo kind of sticky off this area. The key if you're going to be doing that is get half time, but don't have your scout hard commit and die for the point. Just get the cap time and then have the scout back off when they start having people collapse on the point. When they start collapsing, you can have your flank come in through the dungeon and the left side, and that'll give you a good position to collapse on them as they give up positioning in order to stop the cap, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of focus fire. Obviously, who you focus is just depending on who you got with the Uber. A good Uber usually will at least get 2 picks or the medic. However, if you have full advantage, remember that medic isn't necessarily a priority unless you've been slow on the push. If you've been slow, then depending on how long you've given their medic time to build the Uber, he may be a priority to get picked. But say he's only going to be at like 30% or whatever, then don't worry too much about him. Just because the medics really can't do much after you've killed off their team. And really getting those DM classes so that you can get the point is more important. Explosive classes are obviously going to be a bit of a priority just because they're the ones that can clear the point off best, so demos especially will be a priority on this last point. Soldiers will also be a good priority just because of the way the last is designed. They can get good positioning for priority. Obviously, if sorry, let's switch that thought for a second. If a scout is just out of position, or if anyone's out of position, then yeah, you could prioritize them pretty quickly, or if you just get a lot of damage on a scout. Heavy is going to be a good priority as well if they have one. Things like that. Really, just whoever gives up their positioning and it's just an easy pick is one way to get it, because it's just a matter of getting picks as well. But if you don't get the demo on this last point, there's a good chance you just won't win the last at all. just
Should
because
we run sniper on trying to push last? Like
Trying to push?
if the Ubers are even.
Yeah, I'll go over that in a second because I want to talk about another way you can push last on full ad, and
Alright.
that's coming through dungeon. This works really well in general because most teams are going to have stickies top right, so if you want to be able to get in without using early, the store's wide enough and most teams aren't going to catch you early enough. You can have your demo and scout or whatever just walk up and just walk towards the point, and that puts them in this corner. And since you have Uber, like, it doesn't really matter as much that you're coming in from the low ground. The only thing to be mindful of is that they'll have a soldier that might be here, and he can kind of call you a bit early. But the thing is, since he knows you have Uber, either he commits onto you, and you'll have a soldier be playing behind, like, right here, since he'll be playing behind the Uber. If he does, you just use a bit early. They use, like, when you get onto the steps instead. Because, again, you're already in. And then just run across with your demo and scout to get on the combo, and let your soldier who was going to be behind the Uber just deal with that guy, and as well as one of your flank players that are going to be coming in on the left. They'll be walking across that way, so it's actually the really good thing about this is that it's a lot harder for their team to kite to the left, which is one of the most beneficial things that they can do if you play from that top right area. Your roamer can always, or you can have your other soldier, doesn't matter which, just play on the top right. It'll be kind of hard to get at them initially because the demo usually holds this, but as soon as your combo starts pushing into them from point into that corner right there, the roamer can look for sticks and see if they're dead, and then just jump in, get on whoever there. It's a really good area to collapse right here because the only way they can really kite is either to here or onto the low ground, so you have some sort of advantage either way. Either they're against a wall or they have bad positioning. So that dungeon push is really
like
good.
wrapping them.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good pinch play in a sense. Again, if they have a gun, you just have to take that out early. Plus, usually, and one thing I will note is that sometimes the heavy might just hide behind this box. It's not super common, but just a thing to keep in mind, especially if you come dungeon where you don't get a line of sight on that until pretty late in the fight. Yeah, and then flank scout, just in general, just comes in through whatever door is open to them. Just you wouldn't really ever want to come top right. I'd say flank scout here could even come in behind the Uber or just come in far left, get on the point pretty early on. Make sure at least one soldier, if there are stickies on it, shoots the point just to clear them off for your scouts, because again, getting cap time is important. Flank scout, as usual's goal is just to get that cap time, so as much as he can play the point, he can. If obviously there's like a good fight to take somewhere else and you can get a bunch of picks fast, you can do that, obviously.
So our flank scouts capping then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because your combo scout can start the cap time, but really the combo scout is ultimately trying to follow up on damage from the demo in order to make more space for that cap time to be acquired. Obviously, like I said earlier, I keep saying obviously, I'm sorry about that. If they're all in spawn or whatever, and there's not a lot of sticks on point, or it's easy to clear off those sticks, then yeah, if they have such bad positioning that they can't get on point, your combo scout should just cap instead of going for damage, because they're in spawn or they're just all like grouped up in a corner right there. There's not much your combo scout's going to be able to do about that, so getting a lot of cap time early on is a good idea. But once you get that initial cap time and you see them committing to the point, your combo scout needs to leave and start trying to follow up on damage. And then once that damage is starting to get followed up on, your flank scout can kind of shoot whatever's on point and then try and get that cap time. The big thing is that you don't really want, unless the cap is like super close to being capped, then you don't want to die for cap time. Rather, you just want to use cap time as bait to get them to give up.
Like get them to get on point and then spam point type of
thing.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. So like soldiers will often bomb the point. That's a good spot for like your scout to kind of come out from behind the point or come in from the left and start shooting whoever grabbed or jumped on the point. Your soldiers can also counter bomb soldiers once they land on the point. Honestly, your soldiers should just be focusing on bombing a demo, because a demo's never going to have to get actually on point. In fights, that's usually a soldier or scout's job, so having a scout and soldier get on the demo early on in the fight if they can is pretty good. Or just, it really depends. If the demo's kind of isolated, do that. Otherwise, just focus the people that are jumping on point, but watch out for demos, fam.
I have a question.
What's up?
A long time ago, it was meta for combo to hold right side of point, so the demo could watch shutters. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah,
right?
No, that changed because it used to be you had line of sight on the shutter from right side, but then they changed the map so that the shutter is more this way, so that you don't have a direct line of sight from standing in this doorway on the shutter.
Okay, so we probably shouldn't.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so you can, if your demo wants to hold a trap on the shutter kind of aggressively, say they just sack too, and your demo wants to push into lobby and put a trap there, that's fine. You can do that from left side as well. Totally welcome to do that, but once you dead that trap, you really shouldn't stand deep, because like you'd have to stand like about right here to put up another trap, and if they're already in lobby in an angle that you can't see, if a soldier just walks around the corner, or even if a soldier just jumps fast through shutter and you don't dead in time, you're kind of deep in lobby already, so you have a good chance of getting caught because this small door right here, there's not a guarantee you'll surf out, right? So that's kind of why, like, demos have to be in lobby in order to watch that trap now, so that's why you don't see them holding on that side as much.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, if you are pushing into left on even Uber, even number, sniper's totally fine to run. You can peek from any angle, really. If you want to get a pick on the flank, or even you just want to make sure you make room from them. You can even have like use your combo to push the flank players away from the side and have like a soldier jump onto the crates there, have a scout play on the crates and barrels there, and have your sniper deep peek. Gives you a pretty good angle onto the medic. You can also just play up here, try and again make room for your sniper. The only thing, like, it's really just a game of making room for the sniper, but if you want to do it, it's totally fine. Otherwise, if you aren't running a sniper, you can two-man. You can do two-man a couple of ways. You can either just have a soldier jump in from wherever and have the scout run immediately behind him. That usually works, because usually what happens is the demo will dead on the soldier, but then the scout can run in and try and get on the medic. You can have a soldier high bomb from lower right there, have a scout run in through this door right here. And then both can kind of collapse on the medic. You can even have the scout run in through lower as the soldier high bombs, because that'll probably have no stickies. The soldier will take a while to land, but usually the soldier will die and get damage, and then the scout kind of comes in and hopefully can clean up on the damage or go to force.
So if we fail our two-man push, how do we stop them from pushing into us now?
So what you're going to do is you're going to get out of lobby immediately after your two-man is over. You're going to be playing on plat with your soldier. You'll have a scout kind of standing right here to keep an eye both on lower, because you have a decent sight line on lower. Your soldier can also kind of glance over here, but really you want your scout to kind of be playing right here. That way they can make sure that a soldier doesn't walk up from dungeon, and they can keep an eye on that door right there. Your demo will have traps on shutter and on bats so that they can't go through those doors, and your soldier will be watching bats and lower as well. You obviously don't have the greatest eye, so once they get through one of those doors, you have to react to that, and depending on what they do, you'll react in a different way. But let's say they try and take their Uber through bats. The goal there is your soldier and demo will want to be spamming them, your demo with pipes, your soldier with rockets, that they'll have to use before they can make the jump from there to there. And once they do, you just kind of back up. Your demo needs to get out because you don't want to take the exchange on your demo. Likewise with your scout will back up. And you just take or you can take the exchange on your scout if you want, but really a soldier's a little bit better. You want your scout to stay in a little bit close just in case you need the scout to flash in. And then you just take the exchange, because they'll have to force that Uber, so they'll be trying to get you. It's a good idea to have your scout, like, as soon as he sees that they're taking their Uber from bats, to back up and just kind of play back here. The reason for that is if a soldier, like the roamer or whatever, comes in from lower right, your scout has a good opportunity to kind of stand right here and make sure that he can deny it so he doesn't get on your medic while your medic is still just focusing on milking the Uber. Just puts a bit of pressure off your combo. Likewise, your demo just backs up and kind of spams on whoever's trying to come in behind the Uber. Really, you just want the ultimate goal of the demo in that situation is just don't have to take a flash. If your demo is overextended, obviously you might have to use that on them, but you don't want a ton of people all clumped up while you're trying to take a solo on one person. That's just bad in general, and it makes it harder to flash people and more likely to drop them. Otherwise, you take the exchange. Usually they'll stay a little bit, but then they'll leave once they see you have a better Uber. They'll leave in the lobby, and if they have people that are committed, you clean up those people. Otherwise, it's probably going to result in a stalemate again. However, if you get a good few picks, say that you use Ubers and you get 2 picks, what you want to do is try and push off of numbers ad. There's a couple of things you can do there, but you have to keep in mind your spawns are going to be a little late, so you just want to start kind of playing a little bit slowly and just make time for your spawns to get there. But obviously you don't want to play too slowly or else they'll get their spawns, but you'll just want to end up playing left. So I'll go over that in a sec. If they take their Uber from the bottom right area right there, you'll want your demo to kind of stay on plat a bit, kind of on these stairs, so he can see if their combo gets towards valley, where he can see them like right there on this low ground. He can start backing up. But you'll want your soldier, mainly your pocket, to kind of come over to this high ground right here as quickly as he can, or even a scout really, and just start getting spam on them so they have to use on this low ground if they're trying to wrap behind you. And you'll just want to take the exchange in this area over here. The goal here is just to get as best of an Uber as possible, because the thing is, if you exchange over here and Uber's end over there, think of how long it takes them to go from their last to this point, and think of how fast your spawners can roll out from mid. If you can end the Ubers here, you can take a pretty good fight here, because you can duck into cafe for cover, and your roamer can like speed shot in from choke. Your scout can come in from valley and even threaten the back cap. The chances are, if their combo fast rolled out from left, they won't have their lower right rather. They won't have their flank watching that area anymore. So a scout can literally just run in from valley and go behind. And as soon as he threatens the back cap, they're gonna start backing up, and you can try and pinch them or not pinch them, but just collapse on them before they get a chance to really back up fully. So if pushing on and taking exchange on from lower right's usually a pretty bad idea.
So we kind of want to bait them out with our Uber.
Yeah, exactly. You want to bait them out into taking a bad exchange. That's usually what happens in general with two-man. However, if you let them get in without using, then they basically got what they wanted, and they're going to take an exchange that's beneficial for them. Because if they can force you onto this low ground, but by the time the Ubers end, and they have control of this patio area, that's way better for them, even if you do have a spawner rolling out. Because then they can start getting cap time and forcing you out, while locking down, like, say, valley and choke, so that if your spawners do want to get in, they're going to have to fight from, like, a soldier in valley, or they have to put their sticks and choke, things like that. So if they end on patio, that's bad for you. If they do that, you might want to back up onto choke. If you want to wait to see if your soldiers can get in. If your flank can't get in at all, then that's a lost fight, because you're taking a 4v6 at that point. I think that's it for taking exchanges on second. Like I said, it's usually pretty good to take a sec, just because this is one of those points where it's really hard for a medic to kind of get in without using. If they don't use by the time they get on patio, that's when it's bad. But usually if they get off like bathroom or whatever and they're on the low ground and then they use, that's usually fine for you, because your medic is still on high ground, so he has a bit that he can milk, right?
Yeah.
Again, just if they get on patio without using, that's the problem.
Assuming our medic doesn't run into two pipes.
Yeah. I know.
It happens sometimes, but not all the time. Yeah, I had that happen to me once. I think I was running up the stairs and he two-piped me right in the face before I could see it coming.
The thing is, you're gonna like, when I say if they get to patio without using, really what I mean is like these stairs, because most medics are just gonna use around the stairs, because this is like a permanent blind corner. You can like kind of jump up from right there, but even then it's a little risky, and it's so fucking easy to get like head pipe and just like draw from 150.
Yeah.
Because you get a head pipe and take 50 fucking fall damage. It's retarded, dude. Yeah, don't be afraid. If you get to the stairs, it's okay to use, because look how close you are. You're gonna end up forcing them right as you use anyways. And it's like, in an even sense, like, because your soldier will be really close, even if you're a little bit far back. Your soldier will be like right here. He can easily get the force and force a bunch of flashes, because by then the demo will either be out of the fight in order to avoid taking a flash, or will be close enough that you can force flashes and have a better Uber. Because you're not going to have anyone with you that you need to flash. You're taking the exchange. So
hopefully
like,
we don't need to, but I've seen sometimes where we take the initiative and then I have to flash people, otherwise they're gonna die and get pissy at me for not flashing them. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, now I have a worse Uber.
If it's called, as long as you make it clear that you're taking an exchange and you want it to be a solo, it's not your fault if someone comes in and just fucking dies to their Uber. If it's obvious if you drop your pocket, that's not good. But if it's like your scout, like your combo scout just fucking bolts in and like into their demo and gets 2-5, that's not your fault. Like, you're looking to keep your pocket alive and watch how they're positioning, right? Because when that Uber happens, it's your job to kind of call how they're positioning and if your flank can get in, as well as the rest of your combo. So like, once you jump through, there's going to be sticks there, so make sure that your pocket just looks at that and just shoots a single rocket at Shutter. And then once you take the exchange, that's when you want your demo to get in and start putting sticks on this patio area. This is if you're pushing out now, by the way. Your demo can shoot each other or even come through bats. Bats might be a little bit preferable just because you have a bit better positioning. However, you got to keep an eye out for a soldier coming in from valley. Demo can come out bats and start putting sticks up here. And that just gives you better, like, even just more defense post-Uber. Your scout can even come in and just kind of get onto the point, jump from bats onto the point, but be careful not to get too aggressive. if you get to like this corner and you can still see the Uber, jump away, because getting on the point with like a soldier Uber right there, you're gonna get fucking splash rocketed because he's gonna want to force splash. Don't commit to the point until it's like they're committed onto that low ground there.
Can we go? Can we go over? We control mid. We won the mid fight, and we are trying to push into second.
Real quick though, on second, isn't it more preferable for the demo to play from Shutter in the scenario that we're just over, instead of from Bats?
They can do either. Bats is just gives you a bit of high ground. Shutter though does give you a bit of defense. I think my Dipmodos usually play from Shutter, but I'm just saying if you just didn't have time to rotate to Shutter, or if your pocket didn't clear traps, you can play Bats.
Okay.
But again, if you want to play from Shutter, it's pretty good as well. Let's see. And then you said you're holding mid.
Holding mid, pushing into second.
Full Uberad or Uberad or what? Wait.
Preferably, like the game stalemate.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so
It has a lot to do with watching the enemy pocket, right? To see what side of to see if they're on cafe side or on valley side, right?
Yeah, so okay, I don't do medic like okay, at least once you get to higher levels, medics are almost always going to be holding here. Their demo might be able to drift between patio and cafe a bit. Pockets will usually kind of come up to the fences a bit. They might just come up here, spam a little bit, try not to take damage, and jump down whenever they need help. But most teams are going to have their combo hold in this area generally, while their flank holds valley.
Yeah.
So I don't normally see players get super aggressive cafe on the defensive side, just because if you want to get inside cafe, you're going to be put in a position where you have choke right there, and a pocket or a soldier can come from right there. So what will happen is because your pocket, I need to drink water. So
Oh, sorry.
no, you're good. Just trying to. So if say you do see their pocket come into cafe or just come this side pretty aggressively, the pocket can no longer sit on fence to spam you. So you have a good bit of free reign to kind of peek into choke and just start spamming stickies there. If he's inside cafe, you can straight up sticky him off so he's stuck there. And then once he's stuck there, you can have your soldier or whatever come with your medic and scout and just kill him. Because what's he gonna do? Walk over the stickies and try and like live? No, you're gonna dead on him. He'll die. Or your soldier and scout will kill him. Unless, of course, he's like the craziest player and just 2 rockets everyone. In that case, sucks for you guys, but what can you do? Obviously, realistically, in like not almost every scenario, you'll kill that pocket. Just be aware he might try and jump over your player's head and get on your medic, so maybe just have your medic bait a smidge, but don't be too worried because you're there to support your players. So yeah, that's if...
Should we not ever push through valley then?
Okay, so pushing through valley is a bit weird. That's like a very unique scenario I just described, because I don't ever see pockets on defense go into cafe. Of course, people just kind of stay on the outside of cafe because of that reason of the demo. But in general, if you are pushing, you can kind of push into valley a bit. You don't really commit too deep. There's a couple concerns with pushing into valley. The first and most foremost one is that if you bring your heals into valley and you go about right here, like you're on the fucking low ground, dude. It's bad for your medic.
Yeah.
It's so easy for a soldier to bomb over there and just get on him if you're not like looking up enough. Like if you're just looking at your players that are in the door, it's so easy for a soldier to just bomb that high and like get on you without you even seeing him. I'd say bait your players a little, play right about here, just because if you do, and keep an eye on like that area right there, because you're not in any danger of really eating a lot of spam from this door.
What we usually do is we have our flank scout bait right where you are, and then we have both of our soldiers waiting on mid, waiting on mid, and then as soon as our scout baits a soldier in or something, then we have both of our soldiers bomb and try to get the.
I see. Yeah, you're just baiting out picks then. Yeah, that's something you can do. I'd say you don't want to have just your flank scout alone for so long. I'd say have your soldier maybe a bit back here because they don't have good line of sight on you if you're right there. You don't need to have your soldiers on mid. Plus your soldier's a little bit more aggressive and it doesn't take as long for him to jump in and get to your flank scout.
But most of the time we just have our flank scout alone on that little upper area behind you.
Yeah, if you're just holding valley and not really doing anything with it, you can have a soldier here, you can have a flank scout there. That's what normally your soldier will be looking to bomb in. This point's a bit rough to sag in on because it's kind of hard to get the force. At least at I don't know. I don't know how like good medic at surfing. I don't want to sound like that's a little condescending. Let me rephrase. I don't know like. I don't really know what to expect from like just your basic like just basic like high bomb, right? Like okay, well apparently I don't know how to jump anymore, but you know, just that jump where you get on the patio or how like well that works. So in general that is the bomb you will be doing with your roamer, but there's a couple things you can do to support it. One is taking your combo cafe. It's pretty easy for you guys to go cafe just because the demo can't do the thing where he locks you out. So you can take, say, like a scout and soldier and just kind of come in and peek kind of deep cafe, draw their attention. They'll all be looking, oh, look at the combos cafe. They might be wanting to take an exchange. And once they get their scout, demo, and soldier focused on you guys, you have your roamer bomb in, and there's a couple things you can do from there. And you don't have to bomb patio. If you want to bomb onto, like, say their demo gets aggressive here trying to sticky you guys off, you can have your pocket play kind of aggressively while getting tanked, and you can have your roamer land on the demo and get that demo pick.
Where's our demo in all this?
The demo
Is he
will
still
also,
in choke?
The demo will probably still be in choke, yeah.
Okay.
The demo's default is choke, and there's a couple things, because it's like, you can spam over the fence's demo with stickies, and just try and get sticky damage on whoever the focus of the bomb is.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so fair enough.
Because you can either spawn stickies, or spam stickies onto patio to get quick, like, 30 damage sticks onto the medic, which softens them up for when your roamer bomb. Because even if your roamer can only hit one rocket, they just hits one good one, it's likely the medic will just have to force to fall damage, or drop to fall damage, either or. So that's that little play you can do. You can also have your pocket jump in from choke, first of all. Just do the same bomb that your, have your pocket do the same bomb that your roamer does, but just can't rocket jump anymore, okay. But go to Valley instead. Your roamer, that just draws eyes so that they're watching, oh, he's jumping to Valley, and then once they're like, well, they're still watching you or trying to like kill the pocket as he does that, your roamer jumps in and tries to get on. It's really just a matter of supporting your roamer as he does whatever. A lot of teams will also just wait to do anything until the demo they says, hey, I got the damage on the medic. Which
yes.
Yeah, it's a bit like it's a bit silly just because it is kind of easy to avoid those sticks, but if the medic isn't thinking about avoiding them, then it's kind of easy to do. I think that's most of the ways to sack into that point. Sniper isn't the strongest thing to run on this point, like pushing into it. If you do, the only real angle is Valley, I'd want to say. There's a slight angle from Cafe, but normally you would be going from Valley. Let me think. I think that's everything about stalemates on mid to second. You can also do something where you have a soldier bomb in, and he bombs it like above Valley, just something like that, and that's really just a draw eyes sort of thing. There's a high bomb from Valley, and then you have a scout, like your flank scout, run in and just try and get behind. Hopefully he'll get in undetected, but if he doesn't, then they know you have a player behind, they might try and take an exchange. If they take an exchange, what you want to do is have your demo play a bit back and have your medic and demo kind of play on this platform right here. Have a soldier play on Bell Tower and have a scout play on Tetris. Just because you don't want to hard commit to any sort of choke just because there's so many other places they can come and wrap you from. If you see, wherever you see them coming, as long as they're like combos committed, you just start kind of rotating forward to take the exchange as early as possible. Obviously, this position is a bit favorable to Valley, so if they come and take the exchange Valley, you'll just want your soldier to kind of drop down and try and take that while your demo backs up. If your soldier's ever close enough to take an exchange with the choke, you want to take it on him. Otherwise, you might want to take it on your scout if you can't get to take the exchange before you have to use.
So we want to stuff the Uber. We want to stuff their Uber at one of the 3 chokes.
Yeah. And if they end up getting behind you once they do like Uber, say that they like send someone on the flank, because it's going to be your combo's job to just watch whatever doors that your Uber isn't stuffing. If they send people behind you, you have to be fast to react and just retake positioning on mid. because you don't want to be stuck like still focused deep on Valley while they have like a roamer and scout behind you. Otherwise, you're gonna get pinched before your spawners can get in. You just want to kind of back up, take positioning, and just make a bit of time for your spawners. If you have to give it up, then that's fine. But again, you do have that flank scout behind, so if they're hard committing, your flank scout can also just go back and threaten a back cap at Lighthouse, right?
Yeah.
In which case, then like you can take that fight and play really aggressively and force them to fight with you. And you might die, but your flank scout would probably get that back cap if you are able to force that fight. Otherwise, they're gonna just run away and try and stop the back cap, and you'll probably lose your flank scout. But then you're only one down, and all they can really do is counter sack.
I like this. This is good information.
Yeah. Anything else I didn't mention that you want to know about stalemates on mid-to-second?
I guess the only thing we didn't really talk about was defending second, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty easy because that goes back to just watching which side their medic is on, correct?
So if you're defending second, I already kind of went over the hold for that.
Yeah.
There's nothing super versatile about that. If their combo comes cafe, just be ready to stuff it. Don't get baited into sending your demo super aggressive, because you really don't have to get super aggressive to stuff cafe. You don't need to be stuffing that door, you just kind of need to be stuffing this area, and because since it gets to wall, it's pretty easy to just be aware that a soldier can also fast jump from cafe onto your medic, just something the combo's got to be aware of. Also, don't get too baited out by high bombs. Like everything I just described that you can do on mid to second, don't get fooled by that.
All right. Well, I mean, if there's nothing else to talk about, I think we're I think I'm satisfied. I don't know
I'm
anyone
pretty
else.
satisfied.
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to go over pushing out of last real quick? Because I know
Yeah, that's fine.
that might give some people trouble. So say they just pushed into last, they died. You have some sort of number advantage or Uber advantage. There's a couple ways you can push out. My personal favorite is take your combo to dungeon and come out through a dungeon itself, right? So instead of going to lower and pushing out lower left, what you do is you take a soldier and a scout, you just walk up through here, walk up the stairs, and they can't really see you unless they're like holding aggressively and watching that. But most teams, if you have some sort of advantage, will be playing near cafe. If you come up here, there's not going to be a lot of contest, so you can just literally walk up, then forward the soldier onto them cafe, and if they're close enough, you can take that Uber. Otherwise, you just make space and lock out that area while your combo scout caps.
And our roamer's watching last, yes.
Your roamer doesn't have to watch last if he doesn't want to. He can just watch lower left. You can have your roamer kind of play right here, because he can watch lower right, I guess. No, the lower left now.
Okay.
Yeah, your roamer can just watch right here. Make sure nothing gets in. You can even have your demo play right here as well. Just make sure, because your combo and dungeon, you don't have to worry about things getting in there quite necessarily. It might also be a good idea to have your roamer play right here-ish. It's a bit of like not a great positioning, but it makes it so that you have a bit of an eye on dungeon as well if you need. And then once you start counting players, you can kind of start to push towards the lower left, and get your flank scout would be on point, or your combo scout rather would be on point here, so you can also kind of keep an eye on Valley to make sure nothing just runs from Valley into dungeon. That'd be kind of hard for them to do, so you wouldn't really expect it. And just make sure you keep an eye on things until it's about half cap, I'd say, or until your like combo really calls for you guys to come in. And from there, you just kind of slowly push out. Your demo will want to be one of the earlier ones to get out, so as soon as your pocket calls they're out or whatever, you want your demo to come in and start locking out either Valley, probably Valley and Choke, just to make sure nothing can get in and stop you guys from capping, because you just want to get that cap as fast as possible. So having your demo come in, just kind of play over here, stickies there, it's a good idea. And then you can set up for a push into mid from that. You can also take your combo through lower left, in that which case you don't want your demo going that way. You usually want your demo to kind of play shutter, have your combo go that way, and then have your flank scout clear your dungeon, have your roamer play a bit behind. And that's how you can push up from lower left. And again, it's just a matter of getting into this area fast. They'll have more time to bomb you because you're going in from the low ground, and they have better spotting on you, plus they can have a soldier play Valley, which means he can high bomb onto you guys as you're on the low ground. So it's either you can either go behind the point and get up on the patio to get cap, or you can go into their combo. Up to you guys. But like I said, I prefer that dungeon point. I prefer the dungeon push. Just know that once you do it a couple times, they can catch on and have someone hold there. So just be willing to be flexible with that.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's everything I can think of at least.
Well, it's appreciated. We didn't do. We scram a lot of gully wash, and we still managed to lose both of our